Let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah.
Days like today are so good because you get this like really good cloud coverage slash sun where like the sun pierces through the clouds, so you get like this nice textured sky, but then the light kind of comes through the trees and looks really good, which brings me into today's video, what I want to talk about. So for those of you out there who are maybe like looking at wanting to become a photographer, or maybe switching crafts, like maybe you do videography, you want to become a photographer, or vice versa, can you do it as a transition like realistic? Well, this past year I actually made this transition, getting into doing more photography, and there are a few things that I've done, from posting my stuff up to different websites and platforms to make money, doing an art show, working for different Instagram brands, and this is all stemmed from being a videographer first and then transitioning over to being a photographer. Come on, let's take some shots, come on. Okay, so let's talk about it. The things to do to get into doing photography or switching over. So the first things first, can you make it like a successful business? I think so, I definitely think so. You just have to figure out what your niche is. What is the thing that you like taking photos of? Is it dog photography? Is it landscape? Is it portrait? Is it doing events? And narrowing in on that niche. And the best way to figure out what your niche is before having any pressure from clients is Instagram. So Instagram might seem like it's a social media platform and something just for fun to post photographs on, but it is a really great way to explore your craft and figure out what you enjoy doing. Because if you're taking photographs just for it to live on a hard drive, it starts to lose its charm. Art is not for consumers to just look at, but it's also just for you to experience and to enjoy. And I think one of the best methods for your artwork to be enjoyed is to show it to people. So I've recently gotten into just posting photos up on Instagram, and so one of the first deep dives into doing photography for me was posting photos for not only just my own personal Instagram account, but I was working for other brands. So I did the Instagram account for this company called Wildwood. I did one for this company called Flow, and I just started learning about what I liked taking photos of, but also figuring out a style, which is kind of which is my next thing. Figuring out what is like the flavor and color palette to which you want to play with, and sometimes it's developing a sort of look that you enjoy playing off of, which gets me to my next point, is presets. Hey. So, what are the presets that you should use? I've actually figured out sort of what my main primary presets are, and it's kind of trial and error, sort of finding looks that you like. And over the past year, you're just sitting here, what are you doing? Over about a year of taking photos around the world, I sort of compiled a list of presets that I really enjoy that parallel the destinations I was at. So for instance, Texas, I was using more like warm colors, so I created this preset called Texas Sun. And when I was in Tofino, I created like this nice faded look. And when I was in New Zealand, I created this other look. And then over about the span of a year, I created like a list of colors that I really liked for photographs, which then I would pair with different brands to build out their Instagram grid. So for all the stuff for Wildwood, was using Texas Sun, and it gave that warm, rich vibe. And then for shoots that I would do for my own Instagram, I used one called The Island, which is kind of more islander vibe. And so having those specific presets gave my photos a vibe, a flavor, and something that I could look into moving forward. Now, if you guys are interested in these presets, I'm actually selling them in the description below, which you guys can go on to my online store and pick them up. We'll talk a little bit more about that afterwards, but figure out what your color and flavor is, and the best way to do that is just trial and error in building out a grid and catalog of photographs. Okay, should we keep going? Should we keep going? Yeah, come on. Okay, the next thing is gear. What should you invest in? Personally, I actually think the best gear you should get in is the camera that's always with you, just to see if that's just something that you're into. So best recommendation is your cell phone. This new iPhone 12 or 11 that they have multiple lenses, so you can tinker with different focal lengths. But outside of that, I actually think limiting yourself to begin with is one of the greatest skills that you can acquire. So as much as you're gonna be like, oh, I only have a GoPro, only have a cell phone, or oh, I only have this or that, will actually elevate your career so much further because you're not focusing on different technical aspects that these cameras come with. Like if you were getting into photography, you're gonna be focusing probably 90% of your craft at the beginning on just the technical mumbo jumbo that really isn't what photography is about. What photography is about is chasing the image, capturing the image, and processing the image for an audience, not figuring out what the right aperture or lens is. That should come later. So tinker with learning the craft before learning the technical. So use your cell phone to begin with because it's all auto settings, then dive into the manual settings, and then dive into the technical within post-production, and then dive into actually buying this sort of thing. But before then, you don't need a $3,000 camera, a $2,000 camera. Yes, it feels more official when you like come around with the camera and you're taking photos and people look at you like you're a bit more of a photographer. But trust me, like some of my favorite shots that I've ever taken were taken on a cell phone, not this thing. Next big thing, money. How do you make money doing this? Because there are plenty of avenues. There are plenty of avenues to make money while doing photography and videography and actually become like a little overwhelming because there's so many different areas. Here's the spaces that I started like getting into for my photos. So my first area to where I started making money doing photos was actually working for clients, doing brand work for their social media. So since social media is actually pretty well known between us millennials, we kind of know the images that need to work. You need to build someone's grid up, you need to be able to have a color palette, you need to have higher quality photos that were edited, not just in Instagram's preset mode. So using something like Lightroom. And if you're able to just use those three sort of strategies, you can make someone's like Instagram grid look really good. So that was the first area that I was able to make some money. The second area was uploading my photos to a stock photo website, which I haven't made any money on. So for those of you who are like, oh, I'm just gonna do stock photos. Right now I haven't made any cash off that, but that's not what it's about. It's just about seeing what works and seeing what I like doing, which there's another platform that I ended up using called Unsplash. Now Unsplash is another website that you can use to upload your photographs and put them onto for free downloads. You don't make any money, but you do get a little notoriety and you understand what photos you take which gain attention and traction, which therefore could make some more money in the future for doing stock photos. So if you guys are wanting to just like put your photos out there and let them be used as opposed to just sitting there and getting dusty on a hard drive, Unsplash is the spot to do it. If you want to try and make some money, you can be a Shutterstock contributor, so like uploading to stock photo websites. But then the final area that I found some money coming in from was doing an art show. So a few weeks ago, I did an art show on the island right here, right in this like little veranda here, and I was actually able to sell some photographs of our island, compiling my favorite photos I've taken on the island for fun. Like I just went out and shot all these pictures of this place that I find truly beautiful, and it resonated to the other islanders here on the island, so much so that they wanted to buy it because it was like encapsulating their memory. And remember that as a photographer, videographer, creative, or whatever, to you, it's just like doing your craft. It's just like something else you do. But to someone else, the stuff that you're creating is so cool because it's like encapsulating a memory of theirs. So if it's a beautiful destination, if it's an amazing place like where you're hanging out for a while and you take photographs, let's say you go on vacation somewhere and you get this beautiful landscape shot outside your door that you think to you, you're like, wow, it's just a photo I took on my camera. To someone else, this is like a big deal. To them, it's like a memory. It's a different perspective of something that they see every day. And you've got a different lens than the person beside you and then the person beside them. And if you photograph it and print it, it just gives it some legitimacy. So doing that art show was rewarding for me as a creative, but also I was able to make over $2,000 on my photos, which is a pretty decent amount of money to make over one night for selling individual prints. And then I uploaded all of those photos to a website called DARKROOM, which we'll talk a little bit more about because this will be how you rate your art. Okay, let's go inside. Big day of photo shoots. So snuggly, so cozy. Oh, get the fire going. Okay, Next thing, what do you charge for your artwork? How much is a photograph worth that was super fun for you to take? I've sort of figured out a way to gauge how much I charge for photos really simply by using this website called DARKROOM. Now, I'm not sponsored by them, so don't stop watching this video because I'm talking about it. It's a really cool website that you can upload all your photographs onto and sell them, which this is where I've been using now. This website like organizes all the prints, the prices, shipping, all of that, and it also allows you to calculate what your rate is by including that as a percentage on top of the initial cost by using this sort of dial thing. So if I'm a beginner photographer, which I would use this dial for like years of experience. So if I'm a beginner photographer who maybe isn't that much of a seasoned photographer, I would keep the dial all the way to the left. But if I've been doing this for a few years, or maybe I've got expensive gear, or I've got a good eye and people are appreciating the work that I'm making, then I'll slide the dial up a little bit, and I'll continue sliding that dial up. If I became more and more of a seasoned photographer, my photos became more notable, and my gear became more expensive, I would slide that dial further and further right until that percentage just continually increases. Again, that base layer price of the expenses still stays there, so $40 for a 24 by 36 will always stay there, but then the additional cost adds on, but not only just for the large print, all of the other prints as well. So this was an easy way for me not to feel guilty about adding some sort of inflated rate. It's using a system that this website has created, and a good way to just monitor it is how much your gear is worth. If you're taking photos on your cell phone, then maybe your photos shouldn't be that expensive, but if you're taking it on expensive gear, you're putting a ton of time editing it, or maybe making the presets, or going out and capturing it, maybe you had to ride a boat or climb a mountain or whatever, put that into your value. That all adds up. Or maybe even taking photos for like 20 years, that all adds up. Tyson, how much should I be charging you for your photographs? This could be your new Hinge profile photos. So hopefully that can help you guys figure out what to gauge for your photographs, your pictures, that sort of thing. I would highly recommend diving into it. It's something that you're scratching your head about, and just tinker with what you enjoy doing photographs of. A good friend of mine started getting into toy photography and started taking photos of that, and has gained a good following in a very short period of time. While taking photographs of toys might not seem the coolest or the trendiest, it's something that he really enjoys, and an answer to a passion that he's maybe put on pause his entire life, and learned a lot. I'm learning from this account that he's created as well. So just by tinkering and exploring, you're expanding your horizon of creativity and also just potential opportunities. Now, if you want to start off with a good base layer, whether it's shooting on your cell phone or shooting on your new camera that you just bought, you can try out my presets that I have a link to in the description below. Let me know what you think of them. Again, I spent over a year developing and crafting these. These aren't just some quick things that I did for a quick buck. I've been asked a lot about them, so I thought I'd share them, and they are the presets that I use for every single photo that I shared within this video, as well as every single photo that I've taken over the last year. So hopefully you can enjoy them, and hopefully you get some good value out of them. I'll see you guys in another video. Keep making some great stuff, and yeah, let me know in the comments below what sort of photography you're getting into and why. Okay, goodbye.